Hello, wonderful people. This is Tom Check with Choice Coaching, where we help you unlock your inner awesomeness. And today we're talking about letting go. This is something you have heard me talk about a lot if you've watched my videos. It's one of the 4 tools that I think are really important for us to use in all of our personal change. We notice, we accept, we investigate, we let go, we nail it, right? But letting go is often the hardest to understand, and it's often the most ambiguous. So today we're going to identify what it looks like in real life, and I'm going to use a personal example. In multiple times in my life, I've gotten attached to stuff. And at the surface level, this is physical stuff. If I'm willing to dive a little deeper, there's some emotional stuff, and there's some relationship stuff, and all that kind of stuff in there. But we'll start with the physical stuff. And I remember really clearly, at one point in my life, I was getting ready to move and had to clear out my bookshelf. And we were doing the let's get rid of everything, give it to Goodwill so that we can start fresh kind of move. As I was packing these boxes to give away full of books, I saw myself freaking out inside over books, some of which I had read, some of which I hadn't, most of which I knew I would never read either again or for the first time. And I was struggling to let them go. Why? As I thought about that bookshelf, I thought about what it means to have books to me. And for me, smart people have books. So in order to demonstrate that I was smart, I needed to have a bookshelf filled with books. So that on the off chance that somebody came in to my house and I went to the bathroom and they were sitting in my living room, they could see my books and see how smart of a person I was. Silly, right? But also very much what was going on in my head. If I'm willing to be really honest, that story applied to myself too, because I didn't just want them to think I was smart. I wanted to convince myself that I was smart. And the fact that half of those books on the shelf I knew I would never read because I didn't really want to, didn't actually matter, as long as I could just tell myself the story of how, of course, I'm going to read them. And that means I'm the type of person that reads them. And if I'm the type of person that reads those kinds of books, then I must be smart. And I could prop up my sense of self and my ego and my beliefs about my smartness by just having those books on the shelf. And so the idea of letting them go majorly challenged my idea about whether or not I was smart. Now, this is one example from my life. Your example might be different. Even if you look at the same shelf of books in your own house and you think about getting rid of them, the stories that go on underneath are going to be different for you. But there's still that same type of attachment. Maybe it's about what people will think of you. Maybe it's about how you think the world works. Maybe it's about how you think of yourself. But our attachment to the things, the physical things that we surround ourselves with, are often there to build a story about who we are. Letting go can be a challenge. Putting those books into a box and actually sending them off to Goodwill was incredibly challenging. But it was also incredibly freeing. Because when I let the books go, the story started to disappear. And the story started to become more clear that what I am is smart without the books. That I didn't need those books. And maybe I should go buy some new books that I would actually read that would make me smarter. And letting go of the thing allowed me to step into who I really wanted to be, which was not a person who read those kinds of books that look smart. I didn't need to have Leo Tolstoy on my shelf anymore so that people would think I was cultured. I could have books on my shelf that I actually cared about, that I was excited to read and maybe even read again. And all of a sudden, my bookshelf became less about what others thought of me and more about how I saw myself growing and where I wanted to take myself on this journey of growth. Now, it's not just stuff that we get attached to. I've held on to cruddy relationships that were totally dysfunctional because I had a story about who has relationships and who doesn't. And if you don't have friends, even if you don't really like them, if you don't have friends, then you're a loser, a loner, somehow not normal. And so I would hold on to relationships, just like I'm sure you do sometimes, that don't actually serve my life. If anything, they hold me back and they make me feel like I'm in the quagmire, just sinking down, trying to keep my head above water with all the cruddy relationships and useless stuff, and really struggling with all the stories that I attach with all the stuff. So when we talk about letting go, it starts with the physical stuff. But if all we do is let go of the physical stuff and replace it with the same kind of stuff, it doesn't really help us get anywhere. So more importantly than the physical stuff is letting go of the stories that go along with the physical stuff. Letting go of the stories that go along with the dysfunctional relationships. Letting go of the stories about who I am and who you are. This can be challenging work. There's no doubt about it. And this is one of those simple but hard things, as all really useful things are. It's simple because letting go is something you already know how to do. And it's hard because it's often the one thing you don't want to do. Because the unknown sits on the other side of letting go. Who are you without your stories? Who are you without your stuff? These are hard questions that you're going to have to find the answers to. And the only way you can find those answers is by letting go. And so whether it's a behavioral pattern, a thought pattern, an emotion that you keep falling into, that you just wish you wouldn't, at the end of the day, the only way through those obstacles is to let go. The first three tools, noticing, accepting, investigating, those are the path to letting go. We have to see the attachment. We have to accept that we're attached before we can let go. And it helps us to know why we were attached before we can let go. But at the end of the day, change comes from letting go. So the invitation for you is to identify one place in your life. Maybe it's the physical stuff, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's something about you that you know you need to let go of in order to become who you need to become, but that you're afraid to let go of. And start to explore when that shows up, what it's attached to, what the stories underneath are. See what you come up with. It won't be easy, but it will be incredibly worthwhile. If you ever have questions or challenges in here, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk about this as you help yourself change your life and unlock your inner awesome. Until next time, best wishes, good luck, stay awesome.